Welcome to Come Alive with Mpho, the show that inspires you to live your best life. I'm your host, Mpho. I'm a life coach, energy healer, award-winning author, and philanthropist. Today's episode is one that's very close to my heart. We are speaking about spirituality. And with me in studio is an amazing human being who's going to be literally pouring into our soul in terms of what is spirituality. Frata, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Sarompo. As you said, I am Frata Limpens, always known as Frata. Yeah. I'm a mystic. For the past 20 years or so, I've been interested in mysticism, and I've acquired some knowledge in this field. Yeah.
Great. So Frata, let's take it from the top. So we are speaking about spirituality, and oftentimes people think, what really is spirituality? We sometimes feel like we are human beings and we have a spirit. So oftentimes when I speak to people, they describe themselves as that. I'm a human being and I have a spirit. But to most of us, we know that we are actually spirit having a human interaction. So can you just maybe delve deeper and explain to us what exactly is spirituality from the beginning?
Okay, thank you for asking about spirituality. It is very clear and obvious. We all spirit beings, but there are deeper meaning to the expression spirituality, because the word spirituality in itself have the expression spirit. And when we talk of spirit, we mean the higher dimension or the higher aspect of the mind.
Yeah.
Now, this mind is the fluidic component in the human envelope, which is the physical envelope. In the aspect of spirituality, you talk of spirit and you talk of soul. Spirituality have two main components.
Yeah.
It is spirit,
yes,
which is the higher mind, and the soul, which is the lower mind. Now, talking of the spirit is the higher essence or the divine nature of the universe, that which is, will be, and forever. Talking of the soul is the mutable component which is influenced by the spirit.
That is really amazing, because you've really broken it down, and the amazing aspect is that, you know, now I can see the two, how we are also connected to what we call the universe and all there is. And yet at the same time, here is Mpho sitting alone thinking, I'm all by myself. We don't understand the concept of togetherness, or rather that I am always connected. So can we maybe dive into that aspect of things? How are we all connected? And how is it that, you know, me having a spirit and still being connected to all there is, how does it play out here in this planet?
Thank you for that interesting question. Yeah, we quickly have to delve into the aspect of the soul. Because when we talk of the spirit, it is what we cannot apprehend, not even understand fully. That is spirit.
Yeah.
It remains question mark. But we can go into the concept of the soul. The soul is the fluidic shadow of the human personality. It is the component, the soul is the part of us that is made of our emotions, our sense of awareness, and the physical counterpart calling the flesh. All this is called our personality or the soul. It is this soul that is the livingness, as we can see nature. It is this soul that some are interpreting as the moon or the earth. It is this soul that is our physical presence in the now and forever. It is this soul that go through integration and reintegrations, and it is this soul that evolves. So, otherwise said, we calling ourselves physical beings, but we are souls. And the thing that makes limpets different from mpo is the soul, is the involvement of the soul, not the spirit. The spirit remains pure essence. It has never changed, it will never change. It is one identity, one overseer, one eye for the universe. But what goes through transformation or integration is the soul. Thus you are able to say, I am this, he is that. It's the levels of the soul. So each time we express a thought or a feeling like I'm doing now, is a soul that is in expression. Obviously, these expressions are coming as a result of the infusion from the spirit onto the soul, because the spirit cannot infuse onto the flesh, but it infuses onto its counterpart, which is the soul.
Earlier on, you mentioned something very profound. You said that a soul goes through some evolution.
Yeah, integration or reintegration.
And yeah. So can you explain further in terms of what is that integration specifically?
Okay. The integration process of the soul have to do with the levels of inner growth. When we talk of a level of inner growth, is the levels of conscious awareness of the spirit. The soul, the human soul, or the human mind, which is lower as it is, need to grow, need to be fully conscious of the one union with the spirit. When this is established, we call the oneness. One can say you are a guru, you are a cosmic master, you are whatever they call them. There are too many terminology into this. But what we need to put in place and clearly is the fact that the soul need to evolve, and this evolvement is based on the inner processes of awareness. There is nothing more serious about spirituality, but it is conscious awareness of the fact that I am spirit. It takes work internally. It is easy to say so, but how do we actually manifest that? That is a challenge. Thus, we need conscious awareness, and this conscious awareness is a process, an internal process.
The evolution of a soul. So, Prata, tell us more about this evolution to a mind that is not necessarily equipped to understand the principalities of the universe and how it operates. Because I think that a lot of human beings are still at a very younger stage of evolution, and especially they don't understand how that soul then integrates and then it evolves.
Correct.
How can somebody says, we hear a lot of people saying, I'm going through an awakening, I'm an awoke soul. All these terminologies that we use interchangeably in community, how do you now bring it to what you are talking about? Is it true that a person can go through an awakening? And if so, how does also a soul actually grow?
Thank you for the question, Sorompo.
Yeah.
The soul can definitely evolve positively. The soul can go through that process because many before us have done so. We can name a few. The most common one is Jesus.
Yes, the one that we all know.
We all know, and who even mentioned many times, and he says, if you believe in me, what I've done, you will do the same and even more.
Exactly.
Because I'm going to the Father, meaning the Spirit. Now, you just ask, how is it possible that souls that we are can grow or evolve into higher dimension and become spirit being? Because one thing we need to put clearly, we always heard this language. Before I dive into your question, I want to make a clarity.
Yeah.
Always people said, this is an evil spirit. This is a Holy Spirit. It is terminologies. But in essence, the spirit is pure.
Yeah.
What is disintegrated or negative force is a soul. It's the fluidic envelopes that can depreciate. They are souls. They are not a spirit. The spirit is a higher essence behind the living sun that we're looking at. The force that produced the vital life force that we have here in this plane.
The same force that created this whole planet,
The
this
whole thing,
world,
and that keeps
the
it all
universe.
running. That is
the spirit.
that is the spirit.
And then the soul is the
soul,
envelope
it
that
is.
carries
Yes,
the spirit.
the spirit. And this soul, like I said, move through evolution or disintegration, depend on the levels of awareness. Now, like you asked earlier, the easiest, simple way we could easily grow spiritually, meaning elevate our soul. How do we elevate our soul? I said earlier, it is all about conscious awareness of the fact that you and I is one in essence. You are no different from me. If I can look at you carefully, I will see that you and I is one in essence. But if I look at the characteristics, the shadows, then it seems as we are two different person or identities, but it is not true because we have one essence.
Okay.
And that one essence is the thing that we all need to be aware of in our conversations, in our interaction with one another, in our doings. We always need to have in mind that we are but a living essence, not this perishable stuff, because this go through recycling. But what never change is the breath of life.
Yeah. Let's discuss more on the aspect of what makes a soul either one to disintegrate or to grow spiritually.
Thank you. Right now, we can easily point at, I'm sorry to say, African continent. I'm sorry to take Africa as an example. It's just a very practical example.
We are in Africa, so actually it's a right example.
Thank you. Our continent is so disintegrated in terms of spiritual awareness. Now, what causes this is the lack of, what causes this is the impurities. What we call, what is the impurity? The standard of thinking. The standard of thinking, the standard of reasoning. This standard of reasoning is as a result of the influence of the environment. It goes deeper to affect the soul. Because one thing for sure is that what we call our soul is the part that dreams, is a part of us that go through reverie, dreams, the world of dreams. Now, what we're doing, like right now we're talking, before this conversation, we were together already. Why? Because we spoke about this some days ago. Now, the soul go through communion. What I'm trying to say is that everything that you do in the course of the day, every thought, every behavior, every word, whether swearing word or good word, all these are meaningful to the involvement of your soul. These are the most beautiful tools that need to be taken into consideration for the involvement or the growth or the awakening of the soul. There is no spiritual development without taking into consideration our characters.
So meaning, if I get you correctly, everything that we get involved in, from where we go, who we interact with, what we say, what we think, and what we do actually plays a part into
the
soul part of us.
Yes.
So that's why tomorrow we can wake up and we find ourselves in a place and you say, how did I get here? It's a collection of everything that we have been doing up until that moment.
Yes. Our soul, because we are like a car and the engine, our soul is the witness of the places where the car is parked. Our soul have the record. It's like if you look at the computer box, so-called today in the car, there's a so-called something called the computer box.
Yeah. Everywhere
you park the car, when you start the engine, when you do all those records are inside
the computer
box.
Wow.
So that is a witness. That is the living witness of your activities, of your life. It is this witness that determines if you are grown for communion with the soul, with the spirit. Because the communion with the spirit is done through the soul. They communicate.
All the time.
Yeah. Now when the spirit send a request onto the soul said, no, I am still eating milli-millis, raw milli-millis.
Wow.
It's okay.
To us about the engine and this computer box.
Yeah.
You were making the analogy of a human being using that reference. Please, let's continue on that again.
Yes, we're saying, like I said earlier, we are just like, okay, here's the car, which is the physical body we see.
Yeah.
Inside the car, we have the engine, which is our soul. And then inside the same car processes, there is now called the computer box, meaning the brain. Now, wherever you park this car, whatever you do, you start the car or you change the brake or you do anything you do in the car is recorded in the computer box. This is very true. So this is what the soul on the human process is just an analogy to take us into the spiritual part of the soul processes.
Yeah.
Now, this is what happened to the soul. If you slap somebody, if you look at somebody, you are angry. If you swear at somebody, if you bless somebody, if you said some good positive word, or you share some love with somebody, or you give something, whatever you do in the course of the day is recorded inside you. And these things, as time goes, they play through your dream state. You find yourself, I dream of this.
Yeah.
You don't even remember, yesterday you said this. And that was translated by the soul as a picture. And that picture will be played onto you. And you find yourself, but I am not sure of this, because you do not understand that the word you said to the person was meaning this picture. Now, the soul does the job of translation. It translates and it gives it back to you. Others will call it karma. Every action have a reaction.
Yeah.
But the simple truth about life is that whatever we are doing is recorded inside us. The soul is that record, is that repository. The soul is that memory that keeps all the record. That's why you will hear people say, you have been around, you have been existing before now. You are just in
like
in a
reincarnation.
process.
Exactly.
Yes. You are just on a journey. You have been an old soul or whatever. Some will even tell you before now you were this or that, and you can dream. You can even have those dreams because all that is inside the soul. It's a record. That's why initially when we started, I said the soul is the whole personality, because whatever we see and do, whatever we react to, is recorded inside us, not outside. So this record determines our evolvement to awareness. The quality of the record. The quality of the record.
Okay.
What is happening in your mind? What are you meditating on all the time? What are you thinking about all the time? Those are the things that sit and being created within you. And these are the things that produce the result of, are you a free soul to grow, to expand? Are you still caged? Do you still have the heavy burden that you still need to deal with? That's the process of human evolvement.
So to your point, what I'm gathering is that because I do truly believe that we human beings are inherently pushing to evolve.
Correct.
In a positive way. I don't think there's anyone who says, I actually want to digress.
No.
So in order for us to be in a position to actually grow spiritually, we need to look at our diet. When I say our diet, is what we eat, what we say, what we do, what we think about.
Yes.
Because that in itself will help us to establish whether that is pushing us in the positive trajectory
or in the
negative trajectory.
Yeah, you can say in the higher or in the lower.
Or the lower. That's brilliant. So Frata, in essence, for somebody who says, I've heard this before, but perhaps maybe I wasn't very clear on it, like I'm getting it from you now.
Yeah.
What else can somebody else who's on the journey, because I do believe that lots of people are actually on the journey of growing spiritually. What else can they do to ensure that they are actually growing in the positive?
In the positive part.
Yes.
It's an interesting question. And it's unfortunate nowadays there are no so-called prophet or genuine spiritual schools. Unfortunately, there are a few nowadays. But the answer to that, it would be good for each and every one of us to embark into a path of reintegration, a path of conscious awareness. It seems easy in English, STEM. I know what I'm doing. We always use that. I know what I'm doing. But what am I doing? Who is causing what I am doing? That's what we are not aware of. And we think we are what we think, or we are what we do. It is not true. I took the analogy of the car. It is very clear that the driver is the one taking the car left and right. So apply to the human body. Now, that marriage needs to be restored. Like you ask, how do we get to that restoration? It's a process of having to know the right spiritual school or the right spiritual teacher. Surely there are some in this world, even in South Africa, why not? But it's important to know and to have such mentors.
I'm almost hearing someone watching this thinking, but I don't know who is the right person. So can you maybe clarify for us, who is the right spiritual teacher? Is it the church? Is it maybe, I don't know, going to the mosque? Or is the religious factor that which you are talking about? Or are you talking about something else?
Okay, honestly speaking, the church is the ground for emotional rehabilitation. That is religion.
Yeah.
That is religion. The church is a ground or is a field of emotional rehabilitation. It is not the healing. It is not the healing. It's just the comfort at that time for now. Because of the wording you're hearing and affecting your emotions. And thus your soul is affected at that point in time. This applies also to our traditional way of worship. The traditional practices. It's all about trying to appease the soul. But the upliftment, the relief of the soul from the junk is not being done. And it can't be done that way. Now, the school, there are schools, like I can name, for example, the Rosicrucian Order. This is one of the best schools that ever existed. We can also talk of the Hermetic Kabbalah, which is no more.
Okay. Frata, I wish we had more time to actually go into this, but unfortunately we've come to the end of our segment. Thank you so much for coming through, because I truly believe that this was truly something that the world needed to hear, because we're all on a journey on this life and we all need to understand, who am I in order for me to be in a position where I'm really integrated to spirit and soul. And you've done that for us, and I'm really grateful.